You're listening to the International Moving Podcast, your guide to moving to another country, brought to you by SDC International Shipping, LA's finest. An international move is exciting. It's a time to start over, establish a new business maybe, reestablish family ties, or retire where your budget will do more for you. Please enjoy today's episode, and if you have any questions about your international move, give us a call at 888-779-3962. That's 888-779-3962. All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Jim. Thanks for joining me for today's podcast episode. Today we're going to talk about finding a trustworthy mover for an international move to France. And before I hit the record button, I was thinking about a few things. The first thing that had crossed my mind was how important it is to find trustworthy companies, trustworthy businesses when you're purchasing a service, when you're buying a product. And I think if you're over 40, over 50 definitely, you remember a time, at least here in the United States, when products and services were not just average. And what I mean by average is nothing that stands out, nothing that's worth really getting excited about, nothing that you want to tell your friends or family about. It's just the job is done. You purchase a service, whatever it is, you purchase a product, and you're on your way. And then maybe a month or so later, you begin to notice that maybe the job wasn't done correctly, or maybe they didn't use the best materials. In other words, just the level of service is not up to the standard that, let's say, if you own the company, that you would personally be happy with as a business owner. And being involved in the business world myself, I know over the years, one of the ways that you grow and stand out, or maybe the primary way, is just by having a service that is not just average, but above average, because that's what people remember and that's what people talk about. So whether you're purchasing something for $50 or $10,000, you want to have a return on that investment. You want to make sure that the money was well spent. And what I've discovered, and the reason why I've mentioned if you're at least 40 years old, or definitely if you're over 50, you remember a time when the quality of everything was a little bit better from the food that we eat, maybe even a lot better, again, depending on how old you are. And so when we talk about something like an international move, unless, I had friends that moved to France, and they moved about 9 years ago, I would say, leaving the United States, basically selling everything that they had and relocating over to that country. And they had been there before. They had been there on vacation. They were in their, I believe, early 30s at the time, and they just decided that they wanted something different. And I remember as their friends and everyone saw them off, there were mixed feelings. Of course, everyone wanted them to succeed. Everyone wanted them to be happy. But going to another country, especially one where you're not fluent in the language, and I know that many people, maybe even most in France today, especially the younger generation, they're taught English in school. There was a time, believe it or not, where French was the language of the world. Today it's English. But yes, there was a time when you would learn French if you were like an international type of salesperson. You worked in a company that sent you overseas. But anyway, they were going over there to start a new life for themselves. And I was thinking this morning that if they were moving today, I wonder what advice they would give based on what their experience was about 10 years ago. Because when you're embarking on an international relocation, and especially to a country like France, it's an exciting journey. And France still happens to be one of the most sought after, popular relocations that are out there. So whether it's the allure of the Parisian streets, the charm of Provence, or the beauty of the French Riviera, or just a little village somewhere, there's a lot of possibilities in your future. Now, the couple we were friends with, they decided that they were going to open up businesses over there. They were both entrepreneurs, And it turned out really well for them. But before they got there, they decided that they were going to just basically liquidate everything they had. They didn't have a lot. They didn't own a home or anything like that. They were renting. And they were basically starting from ground zero. They didn't have children at the time either. And so choosing the right moving company is a crucial component in the overall experience. And that's why I brought up the topic of services that we purchase today that really don't live up to our expectations. And believe me when I tell you this, there are a lot of moving companies out there, even in the international moving sector. They're not actually moving companies. What they are basically like middlemen that match up the customer or the consumer with various moving services, sometimes several different ones involved in the same move, and then one part isn't talking to the other part. And what they do is they just buy the cheapest services that they can find so that their profit margin increases, and then you, on the other side, are suffering because you do not have a high quality service working for you. And then once the actual moving day starts, it's not like you can contact that one person and make sure that everything is where it needs to be, that everything is happening smoothly. And then what happens from there is there are a lot of, unfortunately, unwelcome surprises. So you want to make sure that you are literally working with a international moving company and not a clearinghouse. There's some big ones out there, and not somebody posing as one who's actually a middleman. And today you can get 800 numbers, you can get really nice looking websites. The question is there a physical location that you can easily find behind that online information that if you wanted to, you can actually go there and see the people and meet the people who will be involved in your international move, shake hands with them, talk to them, or maybe if they're not in your immediate area but they're coming from a distance, are there people that you can talk to in various departments like packing or logistics, not just sales, somebody that's going to work with you through the entire process? All of these things matter when we're talking about this. So when you think about moving to a foreign country, it requires meticulous planning. Now on your end, you're going to have to, of course, do things like obtain visas. You're going to have to coordinate the logistics that involve packing up your life, choosing the right company, and getting everything from point A to point B, which is why you should always plan on dealing with a door-to-door international mover. So finding a reliable and experienced moving company is an important component. That's what we want to talk a little bit about today. So let's talk about the key to a smooth transition and what doesn't happen, unfortunately, for a lot of people out there because they're not educated in everything involved in this process. It's the first time they've ever done it. They don't know anybody else who has gone through this process before. And if they do, they don't really ask the right questions. So here's some of the things that can go wrong. Sometimes this happens to people. They obtain their visa. They have all of their belongings packed up and boxed. They said their goodbyes to their family. A truck comes, things get loaded on the truck. Now, this is what happens if you're not really dealing directly with an international mover, but part of a group of subcontractors, I guess you could say. So the company is not completely prepared for the task, and suddenly you find yourself dealing with things like a delay in the shipment. Last minute, something happens and there's a delay in the shipment. A box is dropped or damaged, and suddenly there's unexpected fees connected to that. Or unexpected fees that suddenly turn up at the last minute with the move itself. And then what are you going to do? I mean, everything that you have is crated up. They're in boxes. It's packed. It's already going through the process. It's not like you can suddenly stop and say, I want my money back. You know, this was supposed to be an exciting day. A new chapter in your life is beginning, and suddenly it turns into a logistical nightmare. And these situations are more common than you would believe. I'm not just telling you this to scare you. And we can apply this kind of situation to almost anything. For example, maybe you want a home repair done. Maybe you're doing some remodeling and you hire the wrong person. And the person talks a good game, and they have what appears to be all of their ducks in order, everything that you would look for in a professional contractor, but they're not actually a professional contractor. They don't have a license, they don't have an insurance, they don't have any of those things. And suddenly, you're halfway through the project, everything's torn apart, and they ask for more money. And you're thinking, wait a minute, I thought we agreed on this price. What do you mean suddenly we need more money? Well, these materials are back ordered or we can't get them, and so we have to order something else and there's more money. And then suddenly what becomes an exciting, let's say, project in your home becomes, again, a nightmare. So this isn't something that's particular just to international moves. It's with everything today. Okay, so let's just mention quickly the important points that we want to focus on as far as the move itself goes. Number one, of course, is going to be the protection of your belongings. Your belongings, whether they hold a sentimental value, a practical value, they're precious to you. These are your belongings. So having a reputable moving company will go a long way towards ensuring that your possessions are handled with the utmost care. Number two is timely arrival. Prompt and efficient shipping is critical when you factor in the rest of your plans, whether it's starting a new job or settling into a new home. And a reputable moving company, one with experience, understands the significance of timely deliveries, minimizing stress. Of course, moving itself has a certain element of stress that's hard to get around. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. I know they're probably in the back of your mind if you've gone through it yourself before. But the last thing you need is additional worries with problems with logistics, unexpected costs, and things of that nature. So choosing a reliable moving company provides a lot of peace of mind in that area. Next, we have things like compliance and regulation. International moves often involve complex customs regulations and documentations. And so if you're working with an experienced mover, they know how to handle all of that right from the very beginning. They'll be able to answer your questions. You'll be matched, like for example, if you work with SDC International Shipping, an expert on the destination country you're moving to. In the case of today's example, we'd be talking about France, and they will know exactly what's allowed in the country, what's not allowed, and what type of paperwork that you need to have so that you can go through customs both when you're leaving and arriving, both ports, the port of exit and the port of entry. And of course, cost efficiency. By selecting a moving company that has transparent pricing, you're not going to have any type of surprises along the way. And so this is a huge one with a lot of the companies today that are, or even individuals posing as big international moving companies when they haven't been doing this for any length of time, and they're just basically sending their business to low-cost bidders. And so, okay, let's keep moving forward with this. What are the factors to consider? Number one is reputation and reviews. Take the time to research and evaluate the reputation of the moving company you're considering using. SDC International Shipping has been around for almost 15 years. This international moving is something we do each and every day. So look for an established company and with a proven track record for successful international moves. Additionally, read online reviews, testimonials. I know some of those things can be faked. Obviously, some of them are, both on both sides, both positive and negatives. I know there are companies that will actually hire people to post negative reviews against their competitors, not just with international shipping, with just about everything. But one of the things that is a key point here to remember is that the transparent companies have phone numbers where you can actually talk to the person that you're talking to more than once. Sometimes the first person that you talk to, and let's just talk about like cable, for example. You have trouble with your cable, you call and you get somebody on the phone. When you call back, it's almost impossible to get that same person again. They give you a number and they hand you off from one department to the next, to the next, to the next. With a reputable moving company, with a reputable international mover, you'll be working with the same persons throughout the entire experience. So you'll be able to track your shipment, you'll be able to pick up the phone, ask for that person by name or get their direct line, and they'll be working with you. You're not going to be handed off to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. They're very responsive. When you're right in the middle of the moving process, the last thing that you want is for no one to be returning your call. Talk about stress. That is a stressful situation. And if you want, here at SDC International Shipping, We'll even give you references from customers who have relocated to France with our company. Next, services offered. Evaluate the range of services offered by the moving company. Are they able to provide comprehensive solutions? Because every single move is different. Customized solutions. Maybe you need a special kind of packing for one particular item. Maybe you need storage on this side or on the other side of the move. Maybe you're concerned about the handling of fragile items. Ensure that the company can customize their services to meet your specific needs. Next, pricing and estimates. Request a detailed breakdown of the cost from the moving company to ensure there's transparency, and be cautious of hidden fees or unexpected expenses. The bottom line should be the bottom line, and it's beneficial to obtain quotes a lot of times from multiple companies to effectively compare pricing and services. Next, we have insurance coverage. Inquire about the extent of insurance coverage and what's available and what's not. With a reputable moving company, you should be able to choose the kind of insurance you want. You can buy extra insurance. You can use your own insurance if you already have that kind of insurance available. Maybe there's one or two particular items you're particularly concerned about, and so you want to place a special insurance just on those. Or maybe you're just going to go for total loss. In other words, the insurance covers you just in case of total disaster. The ship sinks or something strange like that happens. Next, we have customer support and communication. Really, you have to assess, and this is a big one, the accessibility and the responsiveness of the person on the other side of the communication, which is the company's customer support. Effective communication throughout the moving process is essential. And so choose a company that keeps you informed and addresses any concerns or questions you may have, and they do it promptly. This is something you do right in the beginning. Next is the track record. Inquire about the moving company's track record with international moves to that particular country. Ask for examples of successful relocations they've facilitated, and this will give you confidence that they'll be able to handle your move smoothly. Next, accreditations and certifications. SDC International Shipping, for example, we're accredited with the Better Business Bureau. You can look us up online. We have many different accreditations. We'd be happy to share them with you. Any moving company, international moving company you choose, should be able to present you with that documentation along with their different licenses. When a company has all of the certifications, all the accreditations, it's an indication that they're committed to high standards and professionalism in the industry. Because a lot of these certifications and accreditations you don't need in order to provide international moving services. But if the company has gone out of its way to secure these certifications, then it gives you an additional layer, additional peace of mind that you're dealing with true professionals. And of course, references and recommendations. When you talk to people online, people have gone through similar moves. Example, you can find sometimes on social media where people are asking questions about their moves. People have used certain companies before. You can look in the comment section and find people commenting about their experiences with the company. But we're talking about moving to France. Let's go back to that, focusing on that. If you're going to prepare for an international relocation to France, then you want to start with some simple things like visa and documentation. That's where the research process begins with most people, because you want to make sure that you understand the requirements for France, and that way you ensure that all your necessary documentation is in order and it complies with all of the relevant regulations. Now, also, you can seek assistance from the French consulate or embassy if necessary. You can reach out to them by phone, online, through email. And so that's a great place to start with the whole process once you've understood that this is the relocation that you'd like to make. Next, timelines and schedules. You have to create a detailed timeline for your move to take into account important dates such as the visa application deadlines and booking your moving company for the move, your personal travel plans. Other things you may want to consider are the seasons and the weather conditions in France when scheduling your move to optimize your experience. I mean, it's one thing if you have to move in like the worst season. If you're moving in a blizzard, nobody knows what the weather will be like, of course, on a specific day at a specific time in the future. However, we do know that there are sometimes weather-wise that are more optimal than others, so that's something you may want to keep in the back of your mind. Next, packing and inventory. Start by decluttering and organizing your belongings well in advance of your move. Don't wait for the last minute for this, because this creates even more stress. Sometimes thinking about doing something is actually worse than doing it. I mean, how many times, for those of you who've ever had a garage sale or sold off things that were just creating clutter around your home, you know exactly what I mean. The actual thought of doing it can be exhausting when you think about the moving parts. Well, I got to get everything out. I got to price it. We got to have tables to put it on. We have to get, change for when people come and they pay for cash. I guess today you could set up a little PayPal thing on your phone if you want to accept credit card. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. A lot goes into the thought process. Oftentimes the thought process itself of doing anything can be just as strenuous as the act of doing it. But after it's done, oftentimes, like for example, getting rid of things that you no longer need, that you no longer use, even if you give it away, if you bring it to a place like a Goodwill or Salvation Army or a place like that, getting the decluttering out of the way will give you peace of mind. Believe me, if you've never decluttered before and you do it and you actually go through the process, there's almost a sense of relief at the end that all of that clutter is gone out of your life. Next, we talk about choosing the moving date. So coordinate with your moving company and select the most appropriate date that aligns with all of the other needs and schedule items you may have. Take into consideration things like holidays, peak moving seasons, and any personal considerations, maybe work, that may affect your move. And if you're not sure of things like holidays and peak moving systems, ask your international moving representative, the person that you're talking to. Ask them about that. If they have experience, they should be able to answer that question immediately, especially if you're talking about moving to a country like France, a very popular destination. Next, we have budgeting and finances. So developing a comprehensive budget that includes all of the anticipated expenses, shipping, insurance, maybe having a little bit of percentage aside for unforeseen expenses. Anything can happen, you just don't know. I remember talking to somebody recently. What happened was when they arrived at their destination country, something happened and the landlord didn't have their home space ready yet where they were renting. And so they had an unexpected situation. SDC International Shipping was able to help them to put their stuff into a temporary storage at a very affordable rate, and they were able to get temporary accommodations while the landlord worked out the issues with their home, which I believe was only a few weeks, but still, being able to have someone there by your side walking you through this entire process, it goes a long way when you have something unforeseen happen, because that company has been through that before. They already have the items in place to handle that kind of sudden emergency. So that's one of the things that you may want to consider. Notification and address changes. Notify all the relevant parties about your upcoming move. Banks, utility companies, government agencies. Ensure that your new address is updated on subscriptions, online accounts, and official documents. Healthcare insurance, this is a big one. Ensure that you have adequate healthcare insurance while in France. You can purchase international health insurance. You can talk to an insurance company about that. You can research the healthcare system and the options that are available there for expats, and that way you familiarize yourself with the necessary procedures to access healthcare services in your new location. So let me wrap up today just by saying that your dream of relocating to France doesn't have to remain a dream. You can turn it into a reality. People make this move month in and month out here in the United States, going over to France, the heart of Europe. And if you want to kickstart the journey, we encourage you to reach out to SDC, International Shipping. You can talk to an expert. We have a dedicated team ready to assist you in planning a seamless, stress-free move. Don't hesitate to call. Don't hesitate to reach out. We have a website, sdcinternationalshipping.com, that just has a wealth of information on our blog. Check out the moving tips. You can get a lot of information there about the moving process. And we also have information on things like packing, done-for-you services, everything that you can imagine, everything that has to do with international shipping. We're just really serious about getting as much information online as we can to help people like yourself who are getting ready to make this kind of move. So whether you're just moving yourself or your whole family, whether you're moving cars and vehicles, or whether you're moving light, SDC has a package that they can put together, customized package to meet your individual needs. So that's it for today. Thank you so much, as always, for listening. If you enjoy this podcast, please go ahead, share it with a friend, share it on social media, share it on email, wherever you happen to be. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks for listening. Whether you're relocating within the country or moving to the other side of the world, we're here to help from start to finish. Connect with us today at 888-779-3962. That's 888-779-3962.